Hopefully we don't get copyright claim, Glades. Are we good here? Are we good here, Glades? Thank you. Good morning, and welcome to the Wednesday warm-up. It's a beautiful spring Wednesday. Like I said on Xavier's show on Monday, it seems like every day is going to be like spring this day, spring that day. We had spring Sunday, then spring Saturday, it was spring Monday. So it's spring Wednesday because it's the first Wednesday of spring. Like last week, I thought that it would be the first. I thought that last week Wednesday was going to be the 1st of September. Maar eintlik om te sê, we are here to say that August has 31 days lekker vir ons mense that have birthdays in August. Your birthday, shame, it's in September, only 30 days. But your birthday's coming up.
Explain my birthday, 28 days.
Yo, sometimes you get 29 days.
I look on the bright side, your pay comes before
You see?
everyone else's.
And plus it's Valentine's.
Yeah,
People are in good mood.
Come on
the
now.
people don't have money for your birthday because of Valentine's.
No, Riets, you must pick and choose. Yes, I can't most want to love you and give you something for your birthday.
Kira, you love me.
Oh, you leave me alone. Good morning, Jess. It's your birthday month. Happy birthday month.
Thank you so much.
Would you like to let the peeps know when your birthday is so that they can already start saving? It's still early in the month. There's no excuse.
My birth. You have a lot of time to save. My birthday is only on the 30th of September. 30th of September.
The last day of the month, and you pay, but people paid by then.
Yes, so
You see, there's no excuse.
If you want to send me biltong or packages or something, you're more than welcome to.
Preferably not something that you should ingest. You never know. You know the kind of topics that we have also. Not everybody loves you.
You need to do testing first.
But yeah, no, it's your birthday month.
Yes.
And another year older, closer to that 3.0.
Yeah, no, we're getting there slowly.
Jesse 3.0 coming up
Yeah, man.
soon.
You going to 3.1.
I say you never 30 now, bro.
I'm already there, bro.
I'm almost there. I'm chasing 30 now.
Time, man.
Yeah, no, you must call me my China.
I know, like a Whensday. I like that.
What can we say, Chris?
And then we've got the guy, the one. That's the passionate maratracker.
They like to call me because I get excited.
That's his
Yeah, no. Good morning. You must not X forever young, ne?
I'm forever young, brother. People think I'm still 23.
Man.
Forever young.
Yeah, they think I'm still 23.
Kanti on the other side.
Kanti. Old enough to be your big brother.
Wow.
I'm gonna say, hey, but actually you are old enough to be some people's fathers, eh?
Nah, facts. You know, there's because I hang around with a lot of young people, ne? People automatically assume I'm still 23, 24. And when they're year older, I'm like, they're like, yeah, bro, you're 10 years older than me.
Yeah.
I was done with school when you were starting school. Now, major facts, but that's part
Some
of
people,
the game.
you were done with school and some people were born.
Nah, facts.
Some people that maybe even watch our show.
Nah, facts.
So please respect
So
from
please,
X.
show some respect. Put some respect on my name.
Wow. Yeah, no. Lekker. But anyway, so I stumbled upon, I'm going to jump straight into it. Our topic for today, if you haven't yet seen the title, it's Pitting Black and Brown South Africans Against Each Other. Last week we were talking about the illegal foreigners. This week we're talking about brown and black South Africans that are, it's almost like, not necessarily the full swing civil war, but there's definitely major racial tension that people don't want to discuss, that people don't want to talk about, but we keep seeing it, especially on social media. We keep seeing that there is definitely this undercurrent of hatred, which is actually racial hatred, which is racism in essence, from one group to the other, and vice versa. It goes both ways. What I want to start off with before we get into this topic, before we go into Jess's segment, is this thing of, I'm going to be using, for the sake of this show, I'm going to be using the racial terms that you are familiar with, for instance, black and colored. However, me, myself, and I know for the gents as well, we do not want to prescribe to that term any longer because we do realize that it does have its roots in colonialism, and it was actually meant as a social means to divide us further. and to strip us of our true identity. But for the sake of the show, for people watching, I'm going to use the term colored, and I'm going to also use the term black, because I found some very interesting facts that just as how colored is derogatory for us who have become conscientized to it, black is also a derogatory term because it's also a colonial term. But we'll get to that. We'll get to that later. But first and foremost, we're going to introduce a new segment on the show, and it is a trading segment, because I know that this brother is very passionate about it. We will also be getting, because we want to become financially savvy, we want to become financially independent. And so we're going to be discussing things like markets, trends, those kind of things. It's not necessarily always going to be advisory. We're not just going to, it's not going to be you sitting here telling people, okay, this is what's happening today, so you must trade like this and whatever. It's not always going to be like that. But if the nature leads to that, based on your discussions that you have within your group, then we will discuss those things. But what do you see trends in the market, Jess? What's happening? We know that there's that Russia-Ukraine thing that has caused quite an upstir economically, globally, on a global scale. But what have you been seeing on the economic front in terms of trends and stuff?
So first and foremost, I'd like to say petrol is going down. It's like $2.04.
Went down today, no?
Yeah, it's going down today. So that's a good sign.
Actually,
that's a good
last
sign.
night.
To say, I won't say big difference in the pocket, but there's going to be some sort of savings there.
Better than before.
It's better than before.
That's the thing.
So we gone down $2.04. Look, the only thing with that is we know when petrol goes up, the price of food and all that things go up. When it goes down, price of food stays the same.
Yeah.
That's just how it works in today's times. So petrol's going down. Then we're looking at if you're into the dollar is just climbing on one, eh? No one really understands why. No one knows why. They're assuming it's interest rates and all that. But when you look at the situation within the US, they are so struggling.
Is it falling?
No, it's climbing like heavy.
I heard yesterday they were saying that earlier in the day, the rand was still doing pretty well.
Yeah, now
compared to the dollar.
We're sitting on 17.30.
Just see this.
Yeah, we're sitting on 17.30 now.
And then I
to
heard
the
that
dollar.
guy on 702 was saying all of a Sunday.
Yeah. So analysts themselves are struggling to understand, because when you listen to a lot of people from the US, they basically saying we're struggling out here. Petrol prices are rising, inflation continues rising, and obviously if inflation rises, your bond increase, all that type of things increase. So people are struggling. They can't keep up with payments of their cars and all that thing, so they're losing quite a bit. But yet the Fed continues increasing interest rates. So obviously because they have a standard that they're trying to keep up with, and that's why they just continue pushing it up. They have a meeting now end of this month, where the Fed has a meeting, and they're looking to increase the interest rates by 50 to 70 basis points. So we'll see what happens there. If that does happen, chances are the dollar will fall a bit before picking up again. But if at this point before falling, it's continue running, and we could be looking at about 1750 to 1780 rand, to the dollar. So
for those of you who are into online shopping internationally, maybe you should hold back on that a little bit.
You need to.
For those of us who have subscription services that is calculated in dollars, it's a problem.
Now,
It's a problem for us.
But for us that earn in dollars,
that's the thing.
That's the right thing. So when you convert it, then you're right.
then you could.
And so the moral of the story is
Go earn in dollars.
exactly. What else are we seeing that's pretty trendy?
Pretty popular. We see all stocks are also starting to fall again. We saw a bit of an increase in your stocks, your NAS 100, your US 30 and all that. So if you are holding stocks, continue holding. Buy the dip, but we don't know where the dip ends. So stocks are continue to fall. We're not really sure where it's falling until, but all we know is that it's still in a bearish trend.
It broke the last low, no?
It broke the last low yesterday, yeah.
Oh.
It broke the last low
And
yesterday.
the last low was the COVID low.
No, COVID low was before. I'll just have to
Did
check.
it break
again.
a COVID low already?
Not as yet, no. But it's been falling since the beginning of the year, basically. So there hasn't been an upwards trend as yet, and that also has to do with interest rates. So if you are holding on to stocks, just keep holding. It's going to be a long year. If you have money to purchase more stocks, wait for it to fall a bit more, and then start buying gradually. Wait for the bull to push up first, and then you can start buying. Don't just buy the dip because no one knows where the dip is. You're gonna think you're buying the dip, then it's gonna continue falling.
Yeah.
So let it first continue picking up, and let it get some feet first, and then you can start buying your stocks there. So that's about it from our side. The Ukraine war, Russia war is still ongoing. We see the China Taiwan is also still going on. Russia and China is actually looking to come together. They're looking to
Like
get
the coalition.
they're looking to get South Africa on board with it. They're trying to weaken
Is
the
this
dollar.
BRICS?
But it's like, do we have an army here?
Not
If we
really.
don't have an army,
A duck anti-running.
yeah, but if we don't have an army, wouldn't it be good then to rather go
Be
into
with
coalition with Russia and China?
If you want to be with someone, you definitely want to be with those. Those always
Yeah.
are on some other level.
But that's
And-
also part
and-
of our BRICS.
That's part of
Brazil,
partnership.
Russia, India,
Even
China, and
India.
South
India's
Africa.
massive.
And then also you have your Putin that's trying to get with North Korea now.
Oh,
So, yeah.
wow,
So he's
wow.
trying to get his way in there with North Korea, because obviously we know that they have the largest funding and stuff when it comes to
Military.
military and what's
Nuclear.
nuclear weapons.
Yeah.
That's his main goal. Nuclear weapons, obviously, in North Korea. So Putin's trying to get in there with brother Kim there. He's trying to work his
Kim
way
Jong-un.
in. And then, from there.
The little man, what did Trump call him?
Yo.
Yeah, so it's difficult because people's trying to get Trump back into power. So
Yeah, that as well.
chances are if because they raided his house. When was it? Last month they raided his house.
Yeah,
They found a
for
few
FBI.
they found a few documents and things that were in his house. But if all goes according to plan, chances are Trump will
He
be
will return.
president.
The return of the
return-
orange man.
The return of the orange man. And then
Hey, but he liked him, bro. But he was
they
pushing,
like
bro.
him.
When
Look.
he was there, he was pushing.
Look, for the economy, he done very well.
Nah,
The
bro,
economists loved Trump. They were like,
Yeah.
okay, here we
That's
know,
money,
we're just
yeah.
buying. we just buying because everything's gonna continue moving up.
And he
So-
was very decisive also. Like,
Yeah.
if he didn't want something, he said straight, hey, go here.
Exactly.
Now Biden don't know what's going
He's
on
flip-flopping
around him, bro.
so
Yeah, he don't know
much.
what he
but it's difficult
He
because
signed
now,
a paper, he don't know what he signed.
it's difficult because now on the one side you have this guy that's doing well for the economy. Then on the other side, like what we're gonna be speaking about, black and brown.
Yeah.
The black people don't like Trump because he wasn't for them.
Yeah.
They found that they were struggling more when Trump was in power. So for them, they're a bit scared to have Trump back in power. So they're gonna try.
But then there was the argument that they felt that Obama didn't do anything for them either. There's a
Yes.
lot of black people
A lot
like,
of
yeah,
them,
we were happy a black president, but nothing really changed.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Like, so now it's like, what happened now? Yeah.
So don't know. We'll have to see. Oh, one more big thing is Boris Johnson is out.
Yes.
He's
Yeah,
no
I heard
longer the
yesterday.
prime minister of the UK.
UK.
Yeah. So I think this is gonna be the fourth female that's now gonna be
Yes.
the prime minister of the UK. Yeah. So I think, if I'm not mistaken, she was sworn in yesterday.
I don't know.
I think so.
But
I
they
heard
did
about-
say, I heard
about
last
Boris
week that they
Johnson
were
is
saying
out.
that
Yeah.
she'll be sworn in soon.
And you could see that people didn't like Boris Johnson because once he was taken out, people thought that the pound would have dropped, but the pound continues rising. So it just
Wow.
shows
They were
that
like,
so
good
basically they're happy.
What
So
a-
from that, it shows they're happy that Boris Johnson is out the doors. So yeah, everything's looking good there.
But Boris Johnson, his style is something else. Bro.
Yeah, no, but he was a racist, whether you like it or not.
Bro.
He was unashamed.
He was that
He was an
redneck
unashamed
racist.
racist.
Yeah, so yeah, that's basically for the markets. Yeah, just continue sticking in there. We were in consolidation phases for a while, but we're starting to nice breakouts in the market. So if you are a trader, if you are into all that, you'll be looking for nice opportunities right about now. And
For
yeah,
the sales.
not necessarily sales. If you're looking at your US dollar, look, dollar is difficult at this point in time because
But
we
it's
don't
neither here
we
nor
don't
there.
know where
That's
that
the
thing is
thing.
going to.
Yeah.
So yeah, but if you're looking at your pound, you're looking at.
And I mean, if you look at the like world superpowers, if they're trying to undermine the dollar, then that is also something
Yeah.
that you should consider as a risk.
but it's not gonna happen anytime soon.
Yeah, no,
personally.
definitely,
But
definitely.
they always say before the fall comes the rise.
That's the thing.
So we see it on the dollar. The dollar is running like crazy.
But a lot of countries are pushing up against America now. A lot of countries.
Yeah.
But
are
with the
like,
Great Depression, didn't that also happen? Where it was rising rapidly and
then
all of a sudden there was...
yeah. that's why they say history repeats itself when it comes to the market. So that's why economists are like confused themselves.
Yeah.
They feel like the Fed is actually lying to the people when they say that jobless claims has become less. Because obviously, if jobless claims is more, that means more people are unemployed. So they released jobless claims last week. The NFP was also released last week. Came out positives and all that type of things. So people are like,
Makes
But
no
if,
sense.
but if,
No
there's,
sense.
if there's anything you should have learned from COVID, you should have learned that there's people, there's always like some sort of agenda. There's
Yeah.
always something. They're always like scaly and slimy about
And it's
how
always
they
the ones
operate,
that is shouting about misinformation. That's the
They're
culprits
the ones
of
that are catching on
misinformation.
yeah, because with them it's like, how is everyone in the US complaining about unemployment? How they struggling?
But
and all
they're
that?
telling us everything's
But they're
alright.
telling us everything's alright.
It's the same with COVID when
Yeah.
they were
Yeah.
like, the numbers are here, but everyone was like,
Yeah.
but now what kind is it now? Nothing really
There's always
going
an
on.
agenda. So that's the thing. And I guess economists will and analysts will be confused because of that. The math ain't mathing.
Yeah,
The balance
it's not-
sheets aren't balancing. You
But-
know what I'm saying?
But they personally feel like the Fed is lying because in order for them to increase interest rates again, if all those news that has been released needs to be positive news. So they feel like they're releasing positive news just so that interest rate can go up again.
Sure. Hectic, but yeah, no, we're speaking about that was a nice hectic. That was a nice intro to the day. Thank you so much, Jess, for
Yeah,
that
no.
information. Hopefully, we can see what we can do with that kind of information for those in online businesses, for those who are trading, and just for the general population, man.
Out
Even
here
if
on
you're
the
not in
hustle.
that, bro, it's important to know these things so that we can plan for the way forward. But getting into this topic, guys, black and brown South Africans against each other. So before I play the video, right, again, like I said to you, for the sake of this conversation, we are going to use the terms, for lack of a better term, colored and black in this context. And we're also going to use the term white because obviously racially that's how we have been classified. But we're also going to use the term Indian and then with Asian, Indians are included in that, so we will go for that, for the Asian grouping. Although there's not many other Asian people in South Africa other
More
than
Indian,
Indian. So there's that as well. But anyway, guys, so I stumbled upon this TikTok video, right? I was just browsing and wat, en toe stumble ek nou op die TikTok video. And our producer is also going to cue it to play it for you. And then I want you guys to watch it because I guess it's going to be your first time watching it. I did send it to you, Jess, but Zakes, it's going to be your first time watching it. And
It's
then
not
we're
a
going
teacher
to...
one. Eh?
No, it's not a teacher one. You know about the teacher one.
Yeah.
That the school in Ennerdale. But anyway, I'm going to play it. So if you are ready, there, producer Clyde, Jess and Zakes, here we go.
You like that, and yes, I fuck on order.
Sorry about the language.
Literally, the only reason that we still exist is because black women haven't treated us the way we've treated them.
Okay. So, this guy, Darren, he plays the short snippet of this lady that has an outburst at KFC. I try to interrogate this thing further to see what is the original video. I wanted to see more of what happened. I wanted to see if there was commentary on anything regarding what they said, like the basically setting up the scenario, setting the context. What was it in, right? I also wanted to see where it was, but there was no information of such with regards to that. So this guy says his username is @Darren of Balkan, if I'm pronouncing it correctly. And so he plays that snippet of the video, and then he says that the only reason we still exist is because black women have not treated us the way that we treat them. So this colored lady, remember I told you, for lack of a better term, she has an outburst at KFC. The staff is predominantly black. She says it's not really audible when she starts off, and then she bangs the receipt on the counter and she says, so here's my effing order. So I tried to go check, even in the comments, I was interrogating the comment section as well to see
Where it came from,
where it
how
came
it
from,
came,
what happened, or whatever the case may be. There was no information on that. But at first glance, firstly based on the video and then based on what this guy said, what are your opinions?
So clearly she's frustrated about something. And clearly she probably feels like I'm waiting here long now. What's going on? Probably my opinion is that somebody either cut in front of the line or somebody came there after she did and then got their food before she did. So she feels like, but now what's going on? And then it escalated to the place where she's like, but now where's my effing order? And then she throws the thing on the table to ask now what's going on. Because I don't think she'll just lose it for no reason. There obviously something definitely happened. But my best guess is that either somebody came there after and got their food before her, or she feels like I've been sitting here for more than X amount of time and it doesn't seem like those people are helping me. And that could be the case as to why she feels like what's going on here. That's the only thing I can think that would make sense in that scenario.
To create context, obviously, to see.
Yeah, that would make sense in her asking, where's my order? Bah!
Yeah.
You know.
So you basically saying she wouldn't just come out of nowhere.
No,
For
why?
the sake
You
of-
coming to buy food? Why must
Yeah.
you fight? Why?
Yeah.
What's the reason?
She didn't come there with the intention to fight.
Or that lady said something that triggered her. Or treated. And the truth is, I've had this as a brown person in even at the KFC or wherever, where I blatantly get disregarded or blatantly show they speaking here to their friends while I'm trying to order. And it's almost like a blatant up yours if I'll show you I don't help you. So you do sometimes feel that prejudice. You're like, but I'm standing here and you're supposed to must now be helping me. So what's happening now?
Yeah.
It's just I don't burst out. I take long to get upset. I'll say, excuse me, hello, I'm standing here. And then they'll sometimes show me that they still don't care. They'll carry on having the conversation. So it could be a number of those things that gets you to the place of, but now,
Exactly.
what's going on here?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's my thought.
And yours, Jess?
No, I agree with Xavier. We know how it is in South Africa in terms of your services, at KFC, at your McDonald's, wherever you go, it's not really the best service that you get. So, not too long ago, the same thing has happened when I was at Columbine at the Tebones Pizza over there. And there's this guy that came in, he ordered and he's been waiting, literally. And he literally came and he asked, where's my order, what no? But obviously not like in this tone.
Yeah, he was just
He was
trying
like,
to
"Yo, but
understand
I'm
what's
waiting
going
here
on,
now
yeah.
for, but literally you can see my slip, I'm here now for 45 minutes, where's my order? And then they're like, okay, wait, we're gonna sort it out now, don't stress. Then they go to the back, they come and it's just like nothing happens, like no one knows where this man's order is, no one knows what's going
They
on.
probably didn't even put the order through.
Yeah.
There's no update. They don't come back with. It's just courteous to come
Yeah.
and to say to the customer, "Listen, sir, this is the situation here, whatever."
Yeah.
But it didn't happen.
Because I came after him and I got my food before him. So it was like, okay, I understand.
Obviously, it's gonna make you
it's gonna
mad,
make
yeah.
you upset, especially if you're hungry. You must know you're hungry, and now you're gonna get angry on top of
Hangry.
Hangry, you're gonna be hangry, man. So yeah. But for me, with this, look, we've seen us so many a times where black people themselves get upset in situations like this. So I don't necessarily think this is more, or like Xavier said, there is times when you feel it to say, okay, yeah, as a brown person, those people is just not taking you to court.
Yeah.
Or you'll come there, you'll speak to them in English, but they'll show you I'm gonna reply in their language or whatever.
Vernac.
Yeah. And it's like, but at the end of the day, you can hear I'm speaking to you in English, can you? And then the more you reply to them, the more they speak back, and it's like, okay, I don't know where we at with us now, what's going on now.
Yeah.
And I feel like sometimes it's blatant and they do it intentionally just to get to you, to say, okay, look here, you in our country, you need to learn our language now.
Yeah.
More or less.
Yeah.
And people are gonna get upset for the things that we say on the show and stuff like that. But whether you like it or not,
Now you sharing your own experience. of
and
what
whether you
happens
like
when
it or
come.
not, the honest truth is you can feel the tension in South Africa between colored people and black people.
Yes.
When we done that show about, or even when you go onto the post about the teacher with the colored woman, it's just black people there protecting the black lady, saying, but it's understandable. Colored people are aggressive. Colored people are this. Colored people are that.
Yeah.
And it's like, why are we stereotyping colored people at this point in time? And it's blatantly out there to show that they don't like colored
Yes.
people at this point in time.
I think
It's
there's
to a
a-
point where they tell you you're not African.
Yeah.
And historically, that's horribly wrong. If all else, historically, brown people, especially in the south of Africa, were found here, and a lot of a lot of more darker skinned people came from more of the North of Africa,
And Western Africa.
In Western Africa. So historically, they're horribly wrong. And we've had conversations where we sat in conversations like that, where we would confront that issue head on and come from a historically correct viewpoint. And I've had to speak to a lot of black people before, and they would say, "Yo, I didn't know." Or I didn't see it like that, or I didn't know. So this notion that we don't belong here and it's
and that you're not African
and
enough.
you're not African is actually, if you really want to be historically accurate,
it's extremely historically flawed.
Yeah,
and
if you really want to be historically accurate, the Khoi and the San and the brown people is native to Southern Africa. If you really want to go there.
Yeah. But you see, that's the thing. And you mentioned something, you were talking about the knowing. And knowledge is power. Even among brown South Africans, right? Even among coloureds, knowledge is power. And I think the reason why a lot of people live under the suppression of this notion that we are not African, because I identify as a brown person, or for lack of a better term, as a coloured person. The reason why, and I'm collectively saying the reason why we, obviously generally speaking, right, don't feel African, or we feel marginalized, or we feel that we're not black enough or white enough, which is also quite a problematic notion, that we're not white enough and we're not black enough. That shouldn't even be our priority. But I think that the reason why many of us have this issue in South Africa is because of that lack of knowledge. So I found something very interesting, and I want you to go watch after the show. I put the link in the description, and it was on SABC News, and they were speaking about the show title was The Colour Debate, and it was in September of 2016 that they had this conversation. You know that in 2016 Wade van Niekerk won the Olympics, right? And this is going into this thing that we're talking about. He won a gold medal in the Rio Olympics in 2016, and so there was a huge debate that was going on the socials, Twitter specifically, where coloured people were like, we are so proud of Wade as a coloured person for doing this. Representation is everything. Representation is key. Which, mind you, black people also always say when a black person wins. And there's nothing wrong in that, because it's true. I believe representation is important.
And if it's a South African, I'm proud, whether it's black or white or whatever.
Exactly.
If a rugby wins, you like, away, at least my country won.
Exactly.
Or the cricket, you feel proud about your country.
So coloured people were saying that this is a win for coloured people. We're not taking away from the fact that it's a win for South Africans, but it's a win for coloured people. Black people were saying, don't want to claim Wade as coloured, because this is a black and brown or coloured win. This is a South African win, right? No, they didn't say that. They said this is a black, it's a win for both black and coloured people. So they were specifically talking about black and coloured people. I say yes, it was a win for South Africa, because he's South African. He didn't go there representing coloured. He went there, he didn't go with a coloured flag. He went there with a South African flag. He didn't go there with a black flag. He went there with a South African flag. And so he won a gold medal for South Africa. But I do get why coloured people would want to claim this and want to be proud of something like this. Because as much as he represented South Africa, he represented a community of marginalized people that needs a win in order for them to feel part of the country again. Because the truth of the matter is, whether you like it or not,
do sideline coloured people.
Coloured people, and even other minorities like Indian people, right, feel marginalized. We feel like we are not part of this economy. We feel like we are not part of the social structure of South Africa. We feel like we are not part of the political structure of South Africa. And that's the reason why when you have guys like Gayton McKenzie who come and represent coloured people, although he calls it, the PA is a colourful party, but he represents coloured people unashamedly. And people look at that and they aspire to that, because why would you? It's like what we were talking about with Trump. Why did Trump win the elections? It's because there was a group of middle-class Americans that felt that they weren't being included in the economy of America. And Trump stood for the representation of the middle class, even though he was a billionaire.
And that's why people
And that's
vibe
why
with him,
people
man.
vibe with him. And that's what's going to happen in a dispensation of people who have been oppressed both colonially and in the apartheid regime.
But I like how Guyton answers that when and Ashley Souls also answers it. Every time he goes onto the news, they ask him, they say, yeah, this is a colored party, it's a colored party. Then he says, ANC is a black party. Plain down, they're unashamed about it. They
Yes.
say it, they show it.
Yes.
EFF is a black party. They
Yep.
show it, they
Yep.
say it, they speak the language. They don't include colors in any decision they make. They don't include whites in any
In fact,
decision they make.
they emphatically exclude them.
Yes, they're very intentional about this is who we are and this is what we stand for.
Yes.
DA is white. We
Yes.
know it's white. You see now and then a black person just for control,
Representation.
to show that no, we at least have. But we know in reality what's actually going on. I don't think anyone
Politically
is
and
stupid enough.
economically, it's white.
Yeah, but I don't think anyone is so naive to not know what's really going on. I don't know who you pulling over whose eyes by us thinking that no, maybe there's but we know it's a white party. And then now PA is is run by brown excellence. It's run by a lot of brown people, which again he says. And then Gayton even says we're the only party who has a black
Deputy.
principal
vice
or
president.
vice president, and we have white people in our party. We have black people running different areas. If you wanna play that game,
Yes.
then we win.
Yeah.
So if you want to play the racial game, then we already win because you all don't even have other races represented in wherever.
In your top structure.
But you forcing us to represent everyone,
yes.
which we complying to. So what are you saying?
Yeah.
And that's why when he came out with that whole story of let's put South Africans first, and he was very blatant about it, and I see his strategy there because
Yes.
the thing is, even Gayton McKenzie gets marginalized in mainstream media.
Yep.
The good things that it does, they won't speak about on SABC because SABC is ANC run.
Yeah.
They won't speak about it on 702. You've
Yes.
never heard not one story Gayton McKenzie on 702
Yeah.
what he's doing
Yeah.
there in the what's it Western
Beaufort.
in Beaufort. You won't hear about it. So even it's not by chance or by accident. It's very deliberate
Yes.
and it's very purpose driven.
Yes.
This one we must keep him out, which is a blatant shot against brown people. It's like we will show you all, we won't. So regardless of what, so he fixes Beaufort. He puts new toilets in. He puts pressure on ANC to the point where they go and put tar in a hole. That's a grondpad, a gravel road. He puts pressure on EFF, which they did the same thing. They went to go fix a porthole on a gravel road. Bruh, think about the logical thought process behind it, right?
Yeah.
He puts pressure on the ANC to the point where they go cut a ribbon of they spent I don't know how much millions. I can't remember the number, but it was a big thing on the news. To fix or to put up a stadium where they had a grandstand there, like a school grandstand, with a field there that the grass wasn't cut correctly. It was just there, and they cut a ribbon and they take a picture. But how delusional do you have to be?
Yeah.
To think that we are so, it's actually an insult to
Yeah.
South Africans.
Yeah.
To say to us, this is what we're doing with your tax money,
Yeah.
and you must applaud us. In the meantime, while there, Gayton is fixing real problems, building factories, building bakeries, doing real things,
Yes.
and they ignore it in the media. The second he says, put South Africans first. Yeah, you see, Gayton is starting xenophobia. So you do know what?
Yeah.
Also, you can speak about me. So now, why are we not speaking about this? Why are we
Yes.
speaking about that?
Yeah.
And so it's a blatant shot. Blatant shot.
So before we continue with that conversation, and I don't want to make this now necessary. I don't want to bring political parties into the equation, and I don't want to make that the main topic of discussion here, because I really want to get to this racial issue and the root cause of it, basically the etymology of it. But going back, speaking about the Wade van die Kerk situation, right? So there was that whole debate going on social media, especially on Twitter. And this is what colored people are saying. When it suits black people, we are black. But when it comes to crime statistics, drugs, those kinds of things, we are colored, right? Like you were saying with Gayton McKenzie, when it comes to highlighting the negatives, the stereotypes, the prejudices of colored people, then it's convenient for us to be colored. But when you want to celebrate our achievements, then we are black or we are South African. And I always mentioned this. I had a conversation. I was in a stage production a couple of years ago when I returned from Cape Town. And I was the only colored person or at least the only person that identified as colored brown in the whole cast, right? Predominantly black cast and then 2 white cast members. The director was a foreign national and the producer was a black lady. So we're having this discussion because the whole play, basically, the theme was racial tension. And also this thing of xenophobia. That was that was the theme. So obviously we having a discussion because as actors you need to understand what you are, the story that you are telling. So they're having this discussion about race. How do you feel? How do you feel? Black people still feel that they are economically suppressed by white people and da. So they're having the conversation and I'm sitting out. I'm excluded, both physically. Because body language speaks a lot, and I'm a very I have a very keen eye for body language. Not that I'm saying that I'm a psychoanalysis,
But you can pick up with
but I can
someone's-
pick up body language. I can discern when people want to exclude me from a conversation, like you were saying many a times, what black people do to colored people and what colored people do to black people, where they exclude you, and what white people, what people do in general to each other, where they exclude you physically from a conversation, but also linguistically, like you were saying, you will use another language, for instance, and this goes across the board. It's not just black people, because sometimes colored people do that where they speak in Afrikaans, and white people do that where they speak in Afrikaans. So anyway, so we're having this discussion, and then eventually, wow, oh yeah, there's a colored in the room. Leandra's here. So Leandra, what do you think about this whole thing? And so then this one girl says, but now before they discuss this, they're like, oh yeah, now before they bring me into the conversation, they're speaking about colored people and they're like, oh no, coloreds, oh yeah, no, but coloreds, the reason why coloreds are violent, as a joke. A black girl says, the reason why coloreds are violent is because the black and the white within them is always fighting. And so now, you expect me to not be offended by what you just said. Then you bring me into the conversation and ask for my opinion after you offended me. And that's not racist. Anyway, I don't retaliate because I do believe that I've got quite a high EQ. My emotional intelligence is pretty high, which I've worked on, right? And I'm grateful for that. So I don't respond. I don't retaliate. Eventually she says to me, okay, but what do you think? The other black girl says, but you are black. Then I thought to myself, now's my opportunity to educate you, both white and black. Because the notion is colored people don't know their history. Colored people don't know their identity.
So we can
exactly write the narrative for them. So I said, let me correct you on that. I'm not black. Triple BEE was a post-apartheid, post-colonial indoctrination to enslave colored people further and marginalized groups, including black people. Because what the fathers of our new constitution did was continue, just in a more diplomatic manner, the past enslavement of colonialism and apartheid laws, by keeping the divide. Because the term colored, the term black, and even the term white is colonial terms.
to cause separation.
Colored comes from the Indo-European conquests. So it started with the Indian conquests of Europe. Then it continued in the Western conquests of African people. Why did they do that? It was for enslavement, it was to steal property and lands, and it was to keep, because what is a slave? If you watch that video, Dr. Leonard Martin speaks about it, and he says that it's to keep people enslaved, because slaves are not allowed to have a memory, and slaves are not allowed to have an identity. So, as your oppressor, we impose those identities on you, including saying black. Black is a colonial term. So to be proud of the term black is also up for debate. So if you are so proud of your term black and you are so proud of your term colored, let us interrogate it, because if you're saying that colored people don't have an identity and colored people don't understand themselves and colored people don't have a history, let us interrogate the other histories and the other identities. Because even the term white, scientifically, this is how beautifully he explains it. He says scientifically the color white reflects color. So by that definition, white people are colored. Scientifically. Ideologically, colored people derive genetically from the Khoisan, which is the first inhabitants. In fact, they are the first peoples of the world. Did you know the first inhabitants of Europe were Khoisan? So the Europeans themselves then have to be colored. Because 90% of the world's population is Khoisan. So if you're really going to come and say, you are not African enough, let's interrogate that. Let's go back historically. Let's go back linguistically. Let's go back scientifically. And let us go and see what you mean by that. Because if you're going to be speaking about the first inhabitants of South Africa, then rightfully so, these three people sitting on this panel, genetically,
is more South African than you are. Technically.
So, the debate on what this guy says in this video, the reason why we are... Sorry, sir, who are we? Who are we, Darren? The reason why we still exist is because we haven't treated black women the way they treat... The way...
I don't understand that.
Black women haven't treated us the way we've treated them.
What is he insinuating with that statement?
He's insinuating that the reason why colored people are still in South Africa is because black people haven't retaliated to us the way that we treat them. Oh. Not taking away from the fact that there are racist colored people. Not taking away from the fact that there are racist black people. Not taking away from the fact that there are racist Indian people.
And racist white people.
And yeah, but obviously that is the... So there's all of these things. And the thing is, don't keep white people out of the conversation in these kinds of conversations. And give them the privilege and the dominance to allow the pitting of black and brown South Africans. Let us not get that twisted.
If all else, I've always found in real life situation that brown people are always strive to be inclusive. Like if you're standing in the queue or something, you'll always find the colored uncle or the colored auntie to say, "Oh no, you can come stand here." They always try to, regardless of if it's a black person or white person. I usually find them to be very inclusive. They try to kind of keep the peace. And this is part of the reason we lost that Khoi war, because that's part of the reason we were colonized.
Exactly.
Because we were like, no, you can have some of our sheep, you can have some of our cattle and our... our kettle to make some coffee, our cattle. You can have some of our cattle and you can... We thought we were sharing. Next thing you know, Kurguduf, they overrode us and they took out things, and next thing you know, in fact, in Dr. What's the doctor's book that writes Humans or Bastards? Dr. Ruben Richards. The building, the land on which the V&A waterfront is built right now, in fact, that whole strip of Cape Town, all there, those fancy houses, is all Khoisan land. All of it. All of it.
Yeah.
And what they did to the brown people, they shoved them into the flats and shoved them into there by Menenberg, and they were now killing each other and shooting each other. And they continue to perpetuate that. No, let's just keep them here. Let's feed them drugs. It's the same thing they did in the American projects.
Yes.
The government purposely put drugs in those communities.
Exactly.
They purposely put substandard in that community. It was purpose driven all the time.
Yes.
So when you look at the injustice and unfairness of history, you'll find that the brown people actually got the short end of the stick across the board.
Yeah.
And you'll find that they actually deserve, not even deserve, they rightfully, all that land rightfully belongs to them. In any case. So what the ANC does is they're very smart about how they operate. When they go to land reforms and all of us, they only rewind to, I think it's 18, I don't know the dates, but it's in that book. They describe the dates perfectly. They only rewind to
A certain
a
era.
certain era when the white people took it from the black people.
Yeah.
They don't go, if they go a year or two just
Back.
back, then everything has to belong to Khoi.
Yes.
So they purposely go only up until us, and those conversations are not held in South Africa.
Exactly.
And so black people don't know this.
Yes.
And there's a lot of white people that don't know this.
Including
And it's-
colored people.
Yeah, and the problem is colored people don't know this.
Exactly.
And this is why we feel like we don't have a heritage, is why we feel like we don't. When it's Heritage Day at school, you're not sure what
Yeah.
to wear.
Yeah.
This is why, and they play on that.
Yes.
To say that, yeah, you don't have a culture, you don't have a heritage.
Mm.
So I want to urge every brown person. I don't want to blame black people and I don't want to blame white people. I want to say to the brown person, go and understand
Yes.
who you actually are and where you
Exactly.
actually from. And even if it is that it was a mixture between white and blacks, it's more so the mixture between when Van Riebeck and them and those guys came here. It was the first time when the Europeans came and they saw that the assets of a brown woman is so voluptuous, and they were pleasantly surprised by the fact that the rear end was nice and plump, and the breasts were nice and plump. This is why, was it Mrs. Place? Which one was the one that they even had? Look how big is the bum, and then they made
Sarah
Sarah Bartman,
Bartman.
right? Which was a colored woman. They were pleasantly surprised by the fact that there was big bums and big boobs, and this is why they were aroused by it, and they slept with those women. So if you really go back into history, it's a whole world that you're gonna have to uncover there, and it becomes technical and it becomes complicated. Even those books, there's volumes of it. It's almost like an encyclopedia.
Yeah.
That you really have to sift through. And it's, time doesn't allow and the conversation doesn't allow to really get into the detail of it. But what I can say, in a nutshell, is that indeed brown people have a heritage. And indeed, majority of brown people are native to South Africa.
Yeah, exactly. Look, there's the reason why it becomes such a contending issue is because of the diversity of the community itself.
And the mixture of it.
And again, like I was mentioning the last time when we had KG and Jennifer on the show and we were speaking about gender roles, I threw in the story of the black teacher and the colored granny in Ennerdale. That whole thing that's gone quiet now. No remedial action taken against that teacher as far as we know.
As far as we know, the teacher was put on leave of absence for some period, but
She was suspended. Not suspended. She wasn't suspended.
a leave of absence, I think.
Basically, for her safety, for the sake of her safety, because the colored community was in uproar because of that. But going back to that, and here we see again the flip side of this. Again, look, with this video, there's no context to it. The fact that guy automatically made it about race with that clip is a bit questionable for me.
It's not enough for context.
But anyway, if you look at the context of that video, where the teacher verbatimly says, colored people like you are trash, right? And I won't just wake up I don't like coloreds.
But
And
now-
I won't just wake up liking colored people like you, right? There's that scenario. And I said, the reason why I've got no quarrels with that lady, with the black lady. I've got no quarrels with black people treating us as substandard. And also, another thing is we're colored. Don't take away from the fact that many colored people treat black people as they are substandard. As if they are less than. Let's not take away that, because if we're going to have this conversation, we have to be
let's look at
honest.
all angles,
Let us be honest about it. But even within the colored community, the thing of colorism, where when you are darker skinned,
you
you
have
are
glare
less
hare.
than. And if you've got glare hare, you look more European, that you are better than. Let's not take
Or you
that
have
away.
green eyes or whatever.
Because
the case
that
might
is
be.
also another conversation that we ought to be having and that we need to interrogate in order to fix this damn problem that we've got in our country. That is the kind of conversations that we ought to have. And so, going back to that story, here's the thing. I think, and I can almost try to be neutral about this, that resources have already been so scarcely distributed among people of color, including black people, right? That fighting for those resources based on the Constitution of South Africa, that actually is like a continuation, like I said, of the apartheid laws, obviously just in a more diplomatic, fairly equal manner. But if we truly interrogate that constitution, especially like for instance with triple BEE doesn't even benefit black people as much, right? Because there is still a white minority that has economic control of many, probably I've got the stats wrong, but probably over 80% of the wealth of South Africa. If we talk about lands and we talk about land and we talk about businesses
then the black
and stuff
people
like that.
who do get into that spaces are also what there's a phrase that they call boerboetie.
Yes.
Where like what Cyril is a boerboetie.
Exactly.
He like plays in
Yes.
that sphere
Yes.
with
Yes.
the Oppenheimers and
Exactly.
the people who actually are running the country.
Exactly.
That's why he can't really say what he wants to say. He
Yes.
kind of has to play the
Yes.
game along. So when there are black people who do reach that degree of,
Yeah.
including Julius Malema. I remember in the beginning he was like, what? Now
Yeah.
he's quiet.
Yes.
Because I don't know, do they bring you in to say that, hey, you keep
No,
quiet,
but
come
remember,
here, we're going to give you something.
But remember when they did the audits of the different political parties, EFF, surprisingly, the Oppenheimers were also on that list of funders.
But that's what I'm saying.
And stuff
So
like
the
that.
black people
the Oppenheimers and the
who do
Ruperts.
become elitists
So
are in bed with the
but
the
here's
rich
my
white people.
problem. Here's my problem when black and colored people, or black and Indian people, or black, Indian and colored people, when they have these little tiffs among each other. This is my frustration with our people, is that we're having these tiffs among each other,
And
which
we're
is
failing
actually
to recognize
a system
Yeah.
implemented by those at the top.
to keep us busy under fighting each
And
other.
the boerboeties, that is part of that system that you are keeping in power. And now we are pitting against each other. And what does that do? It keeps us like this.
Because look at Cyril. They find that money under his bed. They find that 500 billion vanished like a fart in the wind. It's just, nobody has anything to say about it.
Yeah.
When they ask him, he's doing the same thing Zuma used to do.
Exactly.
When they ask, but now wat gaan aan hierso? Wat het gebeur hierso? He's avoiding now the questions. And then they celebrate when we have these stupid conversations.
Exactly.
Because it's like, yo, look there, they're fighting by your school.
Yeah.
Yo, look
Yeah.
there. It's like,
Distractions.
while I'm saying, yo, look there, me, I'm running away with the 500
Convenient
billion.
distractions. Convenient distractions. But the problem is, both sides of this coin, black and brown, do not want to see it. They will continue
To have
perpetuating the political, social, and economic oppression and enslavement of each other because we think that we're going to miss out. We think that the black person is our enemy, the colored person is our enemy, the Indian person is our enemy. That is what we think. Because we continue perpetuating this mindset that white is right, that European is elite, all these things. And what do we continue doing?
We just
What do we
continue to
achieve? What do we
continue
achieve?
to distract from what's actually going on. But the other problem is this, while you're saying this. I just
Sorry, before you continue, isn't it funny to think that colored lady at the KFC that is shouting and swearing, and also that's disrespectful. I don't care how angry you are. Work on your emotions,
Yeah.
auntie.
Don't get
right?
so excited.
Work on your emotions. Don't get so excited. I don't care whether it was racially intended or if it was even not racially intended. It was rude. Not
Yeah.
excusing our
Yeah,
actions.
you're not supposed to get like
Because we all have to suffer with bad service delivery. But now imagine all of us now going and throwing a tantrum, right? Anyway, there's that. But probably the colored lady and the black staff are probably in the same economic grouping, which is at the bottom of the food chain. Probably both of them. Just because this lady has, she's not working in retail or she's not working in the food service space, but she's probably earning a similar amount to those staff members. And that becomes your enemy. You don't see how it doesn't make sense. You're both at the bottom of the food chain.
And now we fighting
But you
each
are
other.
fighting each other.
But here's the issue that I want to raise, because I have friends that are black, right? And we have these conversations. And it's the same thing happens in the black community, it's the same thing happens in the brown community. We fight each other. It's like the crab in the barrel.
Yes.
It happens with the blacks, it happens with the browns. We fight each other in the cusses.
Yes,
And why?
exactly.
I don't
But it's been,
understand why.
but because it's systematically been put.
It's been systematically indoctrinated in our minds.
Exactly.
And now when somebody does come and say, but guys come and help each other. Because you can't blame the Indians on this one. The Indians help each other.
They do.
Indians will say,
They do.
nah, okay, I don't have this product X. You can go get it there from Muhammad. They up the road.
Exactly.
They buy shop
And
B.
when an Indian businessman employs people, he will employ
Employs
Indian people.
You can go get it from. Now, what happens with the brown people is that when you, and it's a mindset that we as brown people also need to work on. It's incredibly irritating. When you do employ your own people, they do what they want. They treat you like
Yes.
they want, because now they feel, how about me most brother?
Exactly. My brother.
How my bro?
How my sister.
Give me fire. It's like, bruh, let's be professional. But we interviewed Gaten on this exact in this exact podcast studio, and he walked in here and he couldn't believe that it was such a professional setup. You heard you were here. He was like, just this is so professional. You guys start on time. The cameras are there. There's a producer in the studio. It's run more well. I'm not gonna say professional. It's run like SABC, because SABC is run like crap.
Yeah.
It's run more professional than these private studios, right?
Yes.
And he couldn't believe it.
Oh,
and
the state-owned studios?
Yeah, the state-owned studios. And he couldn't believe it, and he said that it's encouraging for him to see brown people run things professionally on this level, and empowering also other brown people. So we need to change our mindset. We had a conversation the other day about the political party also, and someone was like, I'm not gonna vote for them, and we basically had to tell the man, hey, my bro, this is people that are doing things for you and representing you and a voice for you. But now you still have that mindset of ANC and DA. It's like, nah, man, guys, when are we going to change that mindset? When are we going to change it? And I think it's time now, but a lot more people are starting to wake up now and be like,
There's a conscience.
this is something, it's not right here. I was at Spur two Saturdays ago. My kids were complaining, Daddy, take me to Spur, blah, 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 blah. And so eventually I go to the Spur, Mall of the South. I see the line is all the way to the outside. I'm like, So I go to the Spur at Coleman Square. Get there also full. But I'm like, hey, these kids are going to complain. Let me just take them in. So I take them in and I'm sitting there. Needless to say, when I walk in, I'm a leader at quite a popular brown church, right? And so if there's a lot of brown people in the room, the chances that
one or two is going to know you.
Yeah, they're probably more than one or two is going to know me is like 99%, right? So it happens. I walk in, hi pastor, everyone's greeting. I'm like, hey, good morning, how are you? Thank you. So then I sit, my kids take off their shoes and go play on the slide. And the one kid comes back. Mommy, this boy, don't know what happened. The boy did something. So the mother gets up to go and see. So it's a black woman. So now, now the whole Spur is on standstill now.
To go.
The whole Spur is on standstill now. We're all watching the vibe. So this black woman starts doing what that teacher did in that school video. Yeah, you colors come, let's go fight outside and blah 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 blah. Like blatant racism. Like plain down, no excuse racism.
Yeah.
And so now these are Christian colors, right? So she says to this woman, because that woman's like, yeah, come, let's go outside. So she's like, you can go outside by yourself. I'm not a strat mate. I'm like, yo. She's like,
More
you can go outside by
system.
yourself. I'm not a strat mate. I want you to speak to your child because your child, and she dealt with it so professionally.
Yeah.
And what made me proud,
Yeah.
and what put a shame on that black woman is she thought,
Yeah.
this is a colored. We're now gonna go
The
fight.
stereotype.
The stereotype, ne? The stereotype
Was
placated
debunked.
itself so quickly in that black. She was like, oh, you wanna fight?
Yeah.
And that colored woman said, I'm not a strat, mate. You can go fight outside by yourself if that's how you want to play this. I'm saying to you, your child did something to my child. Can you address the issue? And then it literally diffused the whole situation. But I sat there as a brown person and I was like, thank God. And remember, there was a lot of guys with
Yeah.
men.
Yeah.
And they were all standing on standby
Yeah. Ready.
to say that if things are going to go down, we're ready to rock and roll.
Yeah.
But let's first
Yes.
try to defuse the situation.
Yes.
And as a brown person, I said then, I was like, well done. Well done on how professionally you handled the situation. Then the
Yes.
manager came and the lady explained that this is the situation. The kids were fighting and this. I don't want to turn this into a fight. And I was like, thank you. But
I'm also grateful
The
for
black person was like immediately, oh, it's let's come, let's fight.
that. Yeah.
She was like, nah, bro.
But you see, this is because there's a
Calm down.
narrative that has been created,
down.
based on the stereotype that all colored people are going to roll now. Colored people are going to fight now.
And look at they
right?
can, eh?
And
They can.
True.
And they were sitting on I saw that once they were like,
But you see this, that is the stereotype that
can
you
go there
need
if you
to
wanna go there.
debunk. And the problem is we had this conversation when David was on the show and he was saying that we need to change the narrative even in the media and entertainment spaces, because the narrative that they are pushing with brown and black people,
you're going to be the toti.
you're going to be the Tsotsi, you're going to be the gangster, you're going to be the drug addict, you're going to be the thief. This is the things. And as black and brown people, it's our duty to change that narrative.
sorry, we're not
so that we can,
educated, yeah?
exactly.
Sorry.
So that, because what I saw, right, what was very, very, and there's another video that I had, but because time's up, I'm not going to play it, but of the same lady, but then a colored girl responds, right, and she says, she didn't make it a race thing, she just said, auntie, Daai was nou baie onbeskof. Basically, she's like, you don't treat people like that, no matter what
matter
the
how upset
circumstances
you are.
is, right? Then I looked at the comment sections of those two. This guy, what he's actually doing, I don't know, did he do it consciously or was he unaware of the thing that he's doing? Where he is putting brown and black people against each other because he made it
perpetuating the
about
narrative,
race,
yeah.
right? He made it about racism, right? And so then the black people, obviously, if you're going to tell me that this was based on racism and I don't care to go and look at whether it's true or not,
And that's
I'm gonna
another
get
problem.
offended.
That's another problem that I have with this quick, fast TikTok mindset that we have.
Yes.
This 2-second mindset.
Yes.
Bruh,
This is the thing.
context is important.
Exactly.
Go
So
and
then-
watch what really. Don't just jump in how you did.
And that's why I was
1,000
saying, I was
comments
looking to
deep.
see
It's like,
what was the context of this argument.
important.
What happened before this? Because that is, you need to do it as
And
a
right is right
matured
and wrong is
human.
wrong. As a brown person, I can say, auntie,
Exactly.
calm down. Don't be so
Exactly.
disrespectful.
And even if I was in that KFC to diffuse the situation and that was a racial issue, as a brown person, I can guarantee you I would have, even if I don't get involved, because this woman, she's extremely upset. She's not thinking rationally. She's going to turn around. She can fight with me. But afterwards to go and confront her and say, but listen, auntie, that was not quite what you did there now. And to speak to her on that level of maturity. But here's the thing. In this guy's comment section, understandably so, a lot of black people then jumped on it and they were like, yeah, we're sick and tired of colored people treating us. Understandably so, because many people shared of their own frustrations with colored people treating black people in a racist manner.
And it can go the other way also.
Understandably so.
Yeah.
And so then the black people, so a lot of black women were like, yeah, they want to fight shame. They must come at me shame. I will show them. Yeah, let's take this outside. I would have said, if I worked there, I would have said, let's take this outside. Let's fight the stereotype. Again, already in your mind, you're thinking that this woman, and then a lot of, more than 3 of the comments that I read of black women saying, yeah, they want to scare us because they're violent. They want to scare us with fighting,
But
like
lis-
we're scared of them.
but
it's a
listen-
stereotype that you are creating, my sister.
As much as it is a stereotype, don't even get it twisted. You will get shot.
Yeah.
And you will get hurt.
Yes.
If it does have to escalate to that point, the brown people are not scared to say, okay, let's take
It's
it there.
true. It's true.
So
but this is
it
the
can
same
be
thing.
a reality.
But it's the same thing with black people and with white people, where they will, if you are going to take me on in my face like this, I'm
It
not
can
going
get-
to leave
it
you.
can
Like,
get
it
ugly.
can get. I mean, road rage. It doesn't matter what
can
your
get
race
ugly.
is. You're going to get hurt, my friend.
I think my only problem with the whole situation is if it's a colored person saying the thing towards a black person, that person will get cancelled. That person,
It's racist.
It's racist. The world comes to, well, South Africa comes to a standstill.
Yeah.
If someone says it towards a black person, but once the black person
Yes.
saying
When
it
it's
towards
the
a
other
different
way,
race,
Like
yes.
that teacher that
nothing
playing down is
happens.
saying it.
Exactly.
So
For me,
straight.
that's the only problem
like-
I have with
And
But
then
you
now-
see, this is what these guys in this video that I linked now. This is what this Dr. Leonard says, and Anthony, he's a representative of the first indigenous people of South Africa. Basically, the Khoi is a leader on
Is
that
that zebra
committee.
debating?
No. I think it's part of that series, but it's a clip that is from that where they were talking about the color debate. And what they were saying is that we are in dangerous territory as South Africans, which we don't realize, because there's a consciousness that's arising now, especially among brown people. Especially now with the influx of information and
People now
even on
know.
TikTok
But
and
look,
Gayton McKenzie.
We must know
and-
regional people here.
and also in the struggle, in the apartheid struggle, how many of the brown leaders and activists were
Like Ellen
erased
Boesak, like,
from the history? But now there's a consciousness
Do you know what they did
arising.
with Ellen Boesak in the newspaper? They literally, he's walking next to Mandela.
Yeah.
They literally
Cut
cropped
him
the
out.
picture.
Yes.
So,
Yes, exactly. But now there's a consciousness arising. And now that there's more awareness and there's a bigger consciousness, this undercurrent, this racial tension that the fathers of the Constitution of South Africa as introduced, all these things are now going to flip, and you are heading down a very dangerous path of civil war that you don't even realize. But here's the scary part. If you really look at what's happening, just go look at the comments of videos like this, right? And even on Gayton McKenzie's, go look at the comments. I'm always interested in this. There seems to be a banding together of marginalized groups. Indian, colored, and white. That are sick and tired of the treatment, racist treatment from black people towards them. And there's a banding together that is dangerous for our democracy. It's dangerous for our country if we continue perpetuating this narrative and we continue allowing both racism from all groups, right? Racism from all groups, including black people, racism from black people towards other people of color, towards other races. If we continue with this narrative, we are heading for disaster. And on that note, we shall end it. Thank you so much for those of you who have watched. It was very quiet in the comment section,
Yeah,
but that's fine.
very quiet.
But that's fine. I think that the reason why a lot of people don't want to discuss this is because many people are still, not saying that it's the people that's in the comment section, maybe some people just can't discuss it, but many a times just the reason why people don't want to get involved in these conversations is because it can quickly turn around and it can quickly be said that you are being a racist and stuff like that. But for me, I'm not going to shy away from this conversation because I care about my country.
Yeah.
I care about the people of my country. And I care about the well-being of my country.
Where your
And-
country's going.
No regrets. But anyway, do you have any closing remarks?
No, I don't have any closing remarks from our side. It was a very informative show, just sitting and listening here.
Lekker.
Yeah, no, but you can literally feel the tension within the country.
Definitely.
And
It's getting worse.
Getting worse. Yeah. And like you said, it's not supposed to be a fight between the blacks and the coloreds and this and that. We're supposed to attack top structure to get things in place. So
The oppression there
yeah,
on top.
on top. So it can be diffused a little there on top. But
Yes.
yet they just throw a bone and we fight for the bone. Yeah.
Exactly.
So-
That is the perfect analogy.
Yeah.
That's actually what happens.
So yet let's think rationally, and yeah, let's do things the right way, man.
So in closing, I want to get into some of the comments. I again did an Instagram story. I played that video and I asked thoughts. One person replied, "In what world is he living? Saying black women don't treat us the same." Then there was another one where somebody said, "Wow." Yeah, that was just a
Just
comment.
like that.
Wow. Then another person said that it's true. I've witnessed it. This seems to be a brown person. Yeah. It's true. I've witnessed this kind of treatment so many times because of my race. Flipped around.
Okay.
Okay. So that is it. Zakes, do you have any closing remarks as we end the show on that note?
Yeah, from my side, I think it's just we all living here in South Africa, and we're all South Africans, right? If you were born in South Africa, you are South African. What otherwise? What are you then? You're not an alien. Where else do you come from? So to me, I think it's important that we work, that we live together in peace, in harmony. We can get more done if we do things together. I also think it's important, especially if you're a brown person, go and understand your history, go and understand your culture, go and understand where you're from, and understand who you are. It won't only help. It won't only help in the conversation that we're having. It also helps you as an individual to have confidence in who you are and to have understanding about what you do and who you are and where you're from, so that it gives you confidence as a person. So that when you stand up in a boardroom or you stand up somewhere, there's a different element of confidence that comes with knowing and understanding who you truly are. So go and do that for yourself. So that when you also get into conversations or debates or whatever, you can also stand your ground with knowledge and wisdom and understanding, not just turn it into a fight and it's a racism issue and whatever. You can come from a factual perspective and understand who you are and where you're from.
Yes.
That's my story.
Awesome. And what a way to start Heritage Month, because Heritage Day is coming up soon. So that's a really quiet way to start Heritage Month. And then also, I want to go, because we're having a Heritage Day at church, Crystal Church SA. And so I really wanted to wear the Koi attire, so if Koi sanitize. So if anybody knows where I can get, please also
Hey, but
just
the Owens, the flop or the Koi stand for the Owens, ne? Bra, you must let the Oni under him or something, because yo, that one, yeah. You're gonna free the world there.
But thank you so much.
You're gonna freeze the
Freeze the world.
Thank you so much for joining us. Until next time, bye.